What's up, everybody? Are you looking to take your organic content from 0 to 100 miles an hour quickly? I'm with John Resurreccion here, who talks about hitting the red button, what to shoot, how to shoot, and making a lot of organic content on a daily basis for you and for your brand, for your staff's brand, and most importantly, for your dealership to be able to leverage good organic content at the store level that resonates with your customers, your prospects, your staff, understanding your inventory, your market. So if you're looking to get started today with organic content, you're in the right place. I'm Andrew Street. This is Word on the Street. John and I officially met out in Houston in person. We were at a big Ford dealership that is number 2 in their region, climbing up to number 1, hopefully this year. And we were able to shoot a ton of content over a few days, go to dinners afterwards, and really talk about the future and the current situation for dealers, organic content, and making it awesome. And John, you had jumped in with some of your background, just rising from a general manager, getting over to kind of the other corner of the desk into organic content. Can you talk about that transition from being a GM at a dealership to really being like the industry's champion for organic content?
Oh yeah, totally. Let me just give a little bit of backstory of why I actually left the dealer side, the dark side, they say, right? The dealer side, during my time, I think things have changed a little bit, but it's still relevant to today. But during my time on the dealer side, I grew up in a very bell to bell, go after it, no days off, type of environment, right? California, it's a little different than a lot of other states where, where the dealerships, they treat their business like 7-Eleven. They just never close down, right? It doesn't matter if it's a holiday, they're open. And so having a gajillion kids, and a gajillion, I mean 5 kids, it's rough on a family, right? And the reason why I got out of it, I was making great money. We were living very lavishly. But at the end of the day, is like I had all this money in the bank account, but I couldn't spend it and enjoy it with the family. So, and anyone in the car business understands, they've heard that conversation multiple times in the household. So I made a conscious decision, let me get out of this business, right? But I missed it so much. Andrew, I was literally fishing for like 3 months straight. I used to live right in Oxnard. It's a place called Silver Strand. I lived literally on the beach, and there was just jetty wall that I would go every morning when I was out of the car business, pull out my pole and go fishing all day, every day for 3 months, catching a lot of fish, having a great time, buying gear and reels and things I didn't need, but I was like, this is awesome. I feel like I'm on vacation every single day. And then my bank account started dwindling. And then the fights at home started getting even more real, because it was like, are you going to do something? And so I was like, all right, let me try something different, right? I was really into social media when it came down to posting, tampering or playing with videos a little bit, and started to notice that in the auto industry, there was not a lot of presence when it came down to automotive in the social sense, right? From automotive and social, it was more like, okay, let's just put advertising up, right? Let's just put our cars. The one that some dealerships did, but not a lot, was take photos of the salesperson and the customer when they bought a vehicle. And that was it. That was all that dealers did. And so I made it a point to when I decided that, what, let me go back into the car business, but let me just go in a different route. I did a trial run with a Kia dealership locally near my town, and I spoke to the owner. He wanted me to come and be a manager for his store. He's like, hey, word on the street is that you're not working for the last 3 months. I would love to have you come to the store, train our staff. Let's, get our internet department going, blah, 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 blah. I was like, I don't really want to get in that game because I already know what it's going to be, right? Monday through Saturday, sometimes Sunday, do the bells again, chasing the dollar, chasing the deal, chasing the leads, that type of stuff, right? So I said, all right, I'll come back, but only in one condition. He's like, well, what condition is that? I was like, I don't ever want to come to the store unless I have a deal working. I don't want any leads. I'll generate my own leads, and I'll only come in when I have a deal, and I'll work the deal, do it, and I'll go back home. Right? I live like 10 minutes from the dealership. So the owner is like, well, all right, what are you gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna try something. It's called social media. He's like, what is that? So I said, well, let me just show you, right? So I literally started the end of January, going into February. I had about like 800 followers on Instagram. I had a couple thousand on Facebook, but didn't really utilize it as much. But I started to post a lot of things about, one, myself, two, about the product that I was selling, and then three, just educating people on how to buy cars. I was the car guy that was teaching normal people in my community, these are the things that you need to look at, right? Look at these things, right? If you walk into a dealership and you say, I want to see the invoice, they'll be shocked. What do you mean you want to look at an invoice, right? This is when dealers held a lot of things to themselves. And so I started to teach a lot of people that were, just the community how to buy cars. And next thing you know it, I became that guy in the community. If you ever want to buy a car, you got to talk to this guy. Here's what's crazy, Andrew. I would tell the people exactly what an invoice looked like, how much profit below the invoice the dealer actually has. So if a dealer was to tell you they're losing money, they're not really losing money, because they're going to get their money some way, somehow, right? They're going to either get it from you coming back from doing service. They're going to end up coming back getting some type of part from you, right? They're going to do something. They're going to probably buy a hat if your brand is awesome, right? Something. Next thing you know it, in February, I started to do this launch. I ended up selling 35 cars with not one lead, not going into the dealership one time, and only using social media. My stuff started to go viral where people were just referring me people left and right. John, my uncle, John, my friend, John, my classmate, John, my coworker. And my phone just kept going back. And I was selling Kias. And Kias was not the most popular thing yet. This is when Kia started to rise a little bit, but they still had I believe it was the Optimus. They had
Optima.
Optima. There you go, Optima. But the one, and then they had one that still had the roll down window. They had all the janky cars still. But I was slanging them, because people just wanted to do business with me because they trusted me, right? Because I was sharing all the goods. Here's what's crazy. I would teach them how to buy a car, what an invoice is, how much they can get off of a dealership, and all these referrals of people that came to me still ended up buying the car for MSRP.
Yep.
Isn't that funny? It's crazy. It's like this. I would just say, here it is. This is what the car's worth. This is what your budget is. This is what your payments would look like. This is the amount of down. This is what your rate is. Here you go. John, I love it. There was like no resistance, but I think it was because at that time they already knew, prior to even looking for a car, that I was the guy that was never afraid to show you everything and then let you make the decision, right? And I think that's where a lot of the things, when we're getting into it and going back, that transition from going from the desk side and then going into this, I had the epiphany. I was like, you know what? I don't need to just do this for one dealership. I can do this for multiple dealerships. And that's when I got my start. It was Team Nissan in Oxnard that actually hired me. A good buddy of mine, Eric Luce, which till this day still has my team and I go out and shoot his dealership out here in California. Doesn't matter where he goes. He comes. We're the first people he hires. Hey, John, I need that content. I need that Filipino content. Bring it over. Let's go. I'm like, all right, let's go. So it's a lot of that aspect, but the transition from dealer to this space on the content space, it was pretty seamless when it came down to it, and I love every moment of it.
So it sounds like you were able to use your own brand, your own name,
Totally,
and build out trust with people. When did you start doing this with dealers? When did you start doing it on their behalf?
I started to do it was Team Nissan. Actually, it was the one after that Kia dealership. I think it was like a few months later. I got connected from a rep. A rep loved what I did and got me connected to the owner at that Team Nissan dealership. And then that GM brought me in for one, for social media, but two, also, it's so funny, training their internet and BDC department how to sell cars, right? But my main focus for the internet and BDC department at that time was create content for yourself. And here's why. Let me show you why. It wasn't until recently where I started to use my own platform for dealerships, right? I started to understand that because of the reach that I have, and I think this is where the value I bring with a lot of the dealers, especially locally, when I start doing collaborations and I start sharing their stuff on my stuff, they start selling more cars, right? I don't think it's an accident. I just think that the community that I built through social media, um, when I tell them, if you're looking for a vehicle, go to these people, right? I'm vetting for them at this point, when it came down to it. So I would say within the last 5 years, dealerships started to use me and the services we do for organic and paid social stuff, as far as content is concerned, for the last 5 years. So 5 years, let's go back 5 years.
And like, okay, so it sounds like getting people at the dealership to start making their own content.
Yeah.
Are you still doing it? Like when you go in there, like I know that your approach, and you've done like presentations and written a book
Yeah.
on hitting the red button.
Mm-hmm.
Is that tell me about hitting the red button? Is it for people to start making their own content, for dealers to start
100%.
have people be the champion of making the content for the dealership as well?
Yeah, you know, the hitting the red button, the first time I actually started to, the message before hitting the red button was exposure truth, right? It was uh, getting comfortable with uncomfortable, getting uncomfortable comfortable, right? That was kind of the message before. Now it's more of just hitting the red button at this point, right? And Madison, I wish you were there, but at Madison, with being social, this was the first time I've actually talked about just hitting the red button. Now, I've been talking about this with dealers all the time, right? As far as hitting the red button, what did that mean? Is just, look, you're never going to see any type of change unless you just hit the red button. Are you going to be terrible? Abso-freaking-lutely. You're going to suck. And I tell dealers, I tell salespeople, I tell anyone that I come across, anyone that's like, man, I love your content, I wish I could, right? You could. You can. You can just hit the red button. Now, it's up to you if you want to share it or not, right? But during that trip at Madison, I actually showed the first video of when I hit the red button for myself. And I look like every other inspiring, motivational influencer, because we all listen to Gary V, right? Gary V Vaynerchuk was the guy that everyone watched. Everyone was like, this guy, he's the chosen one. I can do this. and what I realized was there was one episode that he talked about where he said there's going to be a certain point where he's going to want to have you stop watching his content and just hit the red button. Just start. It's all going to be bad, right? From what people see now, I think this is the scary part for a lot of people, and why they don't hit the red button is because they see guys like myself, that create for themselves these amazing, elaborate, 4K high quality type of videos, and they think that's the standard, right? Like if it's not like this, I'm not gonna do it, right? And I think that's the issue with, and a lot of it just comes down to fear. People get fearful of the rejection of, people are not going to look at it, no one's going to like it, no one's going to engage with it. So what? How are you going to get better if you don't just hit the red button, right?
Right.
You look at it through social. Like, there's people on TikTok, and Instagram and Facebook that hit the red button. They've never edited. They've never done anything. All they did. Remember the ocean spray guy, right? Remember the ocean spray guy on a skateboard, and literally was just cruising on a skateboard, had his phone out, drank Ocean Spray. He just hit the red button. He put the freaking music on it, and he blew up. But this guy has no editing skills.
Yeah.
He knows nothing about how he should be posting. He literally just posted it, and it blew up.
Dude, and in my experience, it's like really easy to start second guessing it. Be like, hey, yes, we need content. Let's agree on that. Do you guys agree on that? Mm-hmm. And let's get people bought in. And now let's have a meeting, a 90-minute meeting or whatever. Let's dry erase what we're going to talk about and who's going to do it and who's going to edit it and what kind of. We need a camera. We need a microphone. All of a sudden you're second guessing it and it's going to stall versus, yeah, we should do it. Let's go do it right now. Let's just find something on the lot, or let's go talk with Susan, who's been here for 25 years in the front desk. Like, let's go talk with her and just have her tell us a story. And if it's great, if it sucks, like, who cares?
Yeah,
we'll start it. We've already done it now. Check. Like, now we have a checkbox on our to-do list already, and we're underway.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed too about when you came out to the dealership, you had a strategy in place. Can you talk a little bit about before you go into a new dealership or a client you've been working with for a long time, like how you kind of help conceptualize what you want to do out there?
Yeah, a lot of it let's talk about the new client, especially from a guy that lives in California that is going to a state and a city he's never been to, right? Houston. I've never been to Houston. I've been to Dallas, never been to Houston. I can't wait to get invited to go to Austin and visit you and Keith and those guys.
Houston is the Los Angeles of Texas.
It is. It's the concrete jungle is what they were saying, and it felt like that. And Andrew,
beautiful beaches.
I was like, man, this is nuts over here, right? It's like a lot. I thought LA traffic was bad. Houston is just as bad. So I don't ever want to hear anyone say LA is the worst. Houston was. It's a lot.
And everybody needs a car. You have to have a car. The mass transit sucks. Yeah, you've got to get a whip. Mm-hmm. And so let's help people pick out a place to get their car.
Yeah. So what I do for trips like that, new city, I don't know the culture out there. I don't know the people. I don't know the surroundings in which is out there. There's a lot of deep dive that I do personally first before I even make my way out there, right? What I'll do is I'll look at a couple different things. One, I'll go on Google and I'll look up, 10 most sought out landmarks in Houston, right? I'll look at the Houston area, right? Then I'll look at more pop culture, more trending stuff. So I'll go on social media and I'll put Houston, right? And I'll look at all the different influencers that are in those areas. What areas are they at? What type of food do they eat? What type of vibe and music are they into, right? Because usually you think, okay, Texas, I'm thinking country music, I'm thinking Wild Wild West, I'm thinking, that type of stuff. Houston ain't that. It was definitely not that. There is a strong line between when I was in Dallas, right, and when I was in Houston. There is a strong difference between them, right? And so I started to, I look at influencers, I go on social media, I see what all those things are, right? Then what I do is I reach out to the dealer, say, hey, look, I don't know your area. Kind of guide me on what type of things you want to talk about, right? As far as, what's your messaging? And it's the typical messaging, right? They always tell me, John, we want to talk about family-owned business, integrity, honesty, transparency. I literally was like, no one cares.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but no one cares. Maybe a fraction of people might, right?
Yeah.
But overall, no one cares, right? You got to look at it in a perspective of, if you weren't in the car business, in the auto industry, which we are, and for those that are listening, would you follow, how many dealerships do you actually follow on social media? Probably a handful. And the only reason why you're following them is because you're either one, you work there, two, they're your clients, right? Or three, your cousin or someone works there. I don't know, right? That's the only reason why you're following it, right? And that's the general reason why people follow. The other reason why someone follows is because their champion, which you alluded to earlier, their champion is probably so funny that it doesn't matter if they're an auto or not. The guy is hilarious, or the gal is super funny, or their content is so good. That's the only reason why I would follow it. But I line it up, going back to where we're at. I line it up by doing all the research, then talk to the dealer, the client, about what their messaging is, and then at that point, it's just a matter of me putting my own spin. If I were to go and watch this stuff, what do I want to see, right? And I do a couple of things from a dealer perspective, right? Because I was on the dealer side. First, I'll look at their website too, see how many cars that they have. And if they have 1 million trucks, I think the message is that we need to talk about trucks, right? If their number one seller is the Bronco, right? And from what I gathered when I spoke with them, they're like, the soccer moms love the Broncos out here in Houston. Dope. Let's make a message about the Bronco. Let's create content based on that. I said, what else is cool out there, right? Like, what else do you push, right? Mustang is something that, Ford and Mustang, that's something that people just know. When they think Ford, they think either truck or Mustang. Those are the two. So you kind of just get the general things that are out, the general messaging right off the gate. And then from there, it's just a matter of, we'll talk more about the strategy behind it, but usually that's where we go with it. And then from there, we just build out a bunch of different concepts, send it to the dealer, and say, here are the different concepts in which we think that would work best for you, right? And then 9 times out of 10, probably 10 out of 10, if this is their first go around, they will allow us to do what we do. Right? Go out there. We're the experts in this field when it comes down to creating content, creating usable content for ad agencies and partners like you guys when you're using Facebook marketing and you're going after people. And one of the strategies is a brand strategy. These videos work extremely well for brand purposes, right? So it's just so that's the approach we go with it. So research it, do my own research, then research it through social, then talk to the dealership about it, go into their website, look at all the things that they currently do, and see how I could put my spin on that and optimize it to the best of my ability at this point.
And then at the end, you send them that Dropbox folder.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Are they typically like, looks good, or are they like equipped to start deploying that content often themselves? Or do you have to say, let us help you?
Yeah. So the first go around, which for the one that we came out when we went to Houston Mac Hike Ford, right? What I always tell first clients that have never really championed or done social media, what I would do is we put all the assets in there, photo assets, social media assets, long form horizontals for YouTube or anything like we do all the different sizes. We send it to the dealership. Typically what ends up happening is one, they'll start having either, if we don't do their social media advertising, the advertising team will go in and look at it and then start deploying on what they think the message should be for that time, right? And then we talk to the dealership and say, hey, look, let us champion and help you get through this for the next couple of months. Let me show you some best practices, right? Here's how you should do it. This is the schedule in which you should do it. And then just allow them, partner with them and allow them to go through this road with you. For our services, the reason why we do it this way is because we're looking to be with you in perpetuity, right? We want to be a true partner where we're not just giving you assets and saying, good luck, Chuck, right? See ya. If I want to come back, I want to make sure that the stuff that we've created that I know is going to work works. But if I leave it in the hands of a dealer or a partner that just doesn't do it, then it's just going to be like any other asset that anyone gets. They just post it one time. They don't post it the way that it needs to be posted. They don't post it at certain times that's when the most engagement happens with their page, that type of thing. There's a lot of things or steps that you need to take before even making the post. The context of which they put in there, is it catchy enough to have a person at least glance at it? There's a lot of things that dealers don't know when it comes to social, and so we guide them for the next couple of months on it, just to make sure that they're engaged with it. But the person that I always try to get through to is not the salespeople. The salespeople will always be engaged Because if you tell them, if after telling my story and what I have done and the success that I've done through organic social or even paid social, they're already bought in. The people that need to really buy in, and you know this, is either one, ownership, right? If it's a small mom and pop, if the ownership has to buy in and the GM needs to buy in. Because if there's no reinforcement, it's just, again, then what ends up happening is it's just a drop in the bucket for the dealership. And after that one trip, I might as well have one like this and say, thank you for the business. I'll never see you again.
Yeah.
Right.
Your dealership's legacy now is in this Dropbox folder for, Q1 of 2026, 2025. Yeah. Share that with your customers maybe, or maybe they can find it.
Yeah. And that's typically, the people that I've touched, typically that it doesn't happen that way because of the plan. Like you were saying, after the drive of all the content and stuff goes to them, they typically go into it right away, right? Because they're so pumped about it, right? I think. And
are you able to pull some feedback from them? Like, hey, is there a direction that we missed? Is there somebody there that we should have been talking to that we didn't? Let's put them on the radar for sure next time we come out.
I do. Oh, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, because I'm just curious. Because I'm finding it so helpful for us to get content of the general manager or some affable person or the principal even to say, hey, I'm really complimented that you picked us and you purchased from us. Like our page and follow us below for exclusive discounts and opportunities and offers, and do what we can from our desk as the marketer to get them to grow their following, which turns into some organic distribution. But now I can start to leverage those people who like that dealership's page to reach out to their friends and include their names in the ads. It's like, here's Mac Haik Ford, here's their OEM incentive, here's maybe a video, but here's 6 of your friends who already endorse this dealership up top.
Yeah.
Like if we can start getting those mechanisms in place and that those assets in place to where it's genuinely that dealership versus the marketing agency 16,000 miles away that's creating that stuff. That's that's what I'm finding is resonating with their customer base and getting that almighty inkling of loyalty bumping up.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about the loyalty and getting these, people to buy in. It's more of once the culture is built, the GM, the ownership, or everyone that buys in. To your question, like what do you actually do, like feedback wise? Like, do you get the feedback? I always welcome feedback. I love feedback. Because I think the conversation that I had with the Mac Haik Ford store before I even left, there were some things that they wanted to do on our next trip out, right? They said, hey, can we use more of our people the next time? And I said, absolutely. Right. Yeah. The first go is typically get the evergreens, right? Get the things that dealer OMG can use no matter what season it is. It doesn't matter if it's in first, second, third, or fourth quarter. Can they use that asset? And that's typically why we build certain content the way that we do, is for agencies or even for selfishly, like our agency, when we do for other clients, can we use this piece any time of the year? So those are typically the ones that we want to build. Then what we do is the strategy is put the brand out as much as possible, the anchor video, the service video, the F-150 truck destination video, the SUV destination video, the Bronco video, all those things get people comfortable or understand that you guys are around. Then the next trip we go out, and this is the feedback, so can we use more of our people? Abso-freaking-lutely. I wouldn't have it any other way. At the end of the day, consumers deal with one person when they go to the dealership, and that's your sales staff. It's your service writer. It's your sometimes technicians when they have to come out and explain why their vehicle's not working the way it's supposed to work. So we start highlighting those people, but we do it in a way where they just don't go out and do a 3-minute walk around video. Ain't no one watching no 3 to 5 minute walk around video. Okay. The OEM does a great job already with those videos. Okay. Just quit it, folks. Quit it. Give me 2 to 3 feature benefits, put your flavor on it, and call it a day. Make some catchphrase, do something that you're going to do consistently, and then call it a day, right? But that's how we highlight the people. The other ways that we would highlight the people is getting the people, especially the ones that have been there, moderate to, you can quote unquote say that they're veterans. Get people to get people to know those people a little bit more, right? From a human perspective, not a salesperson perspective, but from a human perspective, right? And have them talk about their first cars. What car are they dreaming of? You know what I mean? What is their bucket list? Things of that nature, right? Like if they've worked at a Ford store for like 20 years, there's a couple of reasons why they worked at a Ford store for 20 something years. One, they're probably a brand loyalist, that they love the Ford product and Ford could do no wrong, right? Two, from a salesperson perspective, there's so much gross and domestic vehicles from a sales perspective. The margin between invoice and cost is massive. And from cost to MSRP is even greater. So people saying that there's no gross and domestic, you're full of it. I've seen it. I know what it looks like. So that's why salespeople like staying like, I was with Ford from a dealer side. I was with Ford for 16 years. I'm Filipino. Let me educate people. Filipinos don't like domestic brands, right? We like our Hondas, we like our Toyotas, because why? They never break. We don't like to spend money. We're cheap, right? Me, when I was a salesperson and Filipinos would come, they would be shocked that there's a Filipino selling Ford products, right? But after talking with me, they would buy the Ford product because they love me. But then what I would do is just tell people it's okay to own a Ford. Made in America. Let's go. We're here. We've made it, right? And it's one of those things where you just have to educate. But that's and then three, here's the third point why a salesperson was probably there for 20 years. They probably love the culture, the ownership, the people that work there. They've built, that's literally their second family, right? If they've been there that long. So, of course, they're not going to leave. So highlight those things, right? Why are we not highlighting them, right? Because maybe some people would just buy a car from that guy just because of sheer sentiment. People love sentimental stories, right? Like they love the emotional attachment. Wow, that's a great story. I think I'm going to buy a car from Ashley. I love her story. Mm-hmm. Andrew sounds like a cool dude. He dances and looks good. He loves food. I think this is a guy I can hang out with. I will buy a car from this guy. Right?
Yeah. And here's what I think that like distills down to from a buyer's perspective. Mm-hmm. You've got 35 Ford dealers within a 20-mile radius or 30-mile radius of your house. Yeah. And they all have inventory and they all have prices. And that's what we're advertising. That's what dealerships are advertising, is just their inventory and prices.
Yeah.
And so it's super commoditizing. And it's like, okay, cool. Let's figure out which one has the best price. Mm-hmm. Now it's a customer that's hitting the phones, trying to get the out the door price kind of thing. And they're getting a little bit more educated versus that type of video where it's not just the inventory and price. Yes, we have inventory.
Yeah.
And we'll sell you cars, but here's a quick segment where we went around the dealership and we asked a bunch of people what their favorite part of their job is. Mm-hmm. And now we splice it together. And it's people talking about the families that they've helped. It's people that help with the financing, the people who for the first time are able to buy a vehicle that's new, and get those little snippets. Have that be the most humanizing thing you could ever possibly be doing.
You remember, and here's how this can relate to everybody. Not too long ago, the auto industry was in a crisis. The country was in a crisis, right? And I don't like to go into the political aspect of it, but we had this thing called COVID, right? And during COVID, and then right after COVID, we had this thing called a shortage of chips.
Yep.
Do you remember the messaging that was going on during that time, Andrew and Ashley? It wasn't the price of a vehicle. The messaging wasn't like, look at this lease payment, look at this deal, look at this. And it had nothing to do with that, right? But do you remember during that time, that the dealers were making all the freaking money, crushing it with no cars. How many cars did you sell? You don't even have cars. Oh yeah, sold 500 cars. Where did you get these 500 cars? And when you looked at their advertising and you looked at their social media, there was not one thing that talked about pricing. Like you would think during that period of time in the auto industry that people would have woken up and say, maybe we don't have to talk about price anymore. Maybe we don't have to try to sell our cars for nothing anymore, right? And focus on the thing that really mattered during that time and should still be this time. All the dealership focus was brand at that point. All they talked about all they focused on was highlighting their people. Now, some of the content was a little weird. I'm like, bro, like they're dancing. Okay, I get it. What's dancing got to do? But it was entertaining, right? Like people watched it and they were having a good time with it, right? This is where I love fix ops, man, and they're like the stepchild that no one really focused on, but they're like some of the most important people, right? They are the most important people at a dealership. But dealers started highlighting fix ops because that was the only time that dealers could really make money. Fix ops, because they were essential workers. So they did everything, and all the content was messaging for fix ops. Do you need parts? Do you need service? Do you need to get to work? Do you need to make sure your car can go down the road and make it to X, Y, and Z? That was the focal point. And dealers were making record numbers when it came to service. I mean, they were doing $500,000 to $750,000 a month from fixed ops, right? From service, when they used to only make 100 and 200K a month, right? Like, I don't know why we're talking about this still, right? But we are, and I love it because it keeps me employed, right? Like,
yeah, dude, it was cool. And it's cool, like with what you do and what we're doing, it's like we can be super nimble for what the market has, what the world is doing. And okay, you guys are still able to sell vehicles. Great. Let's do you don't have cars though, but let's do pre-orders. Let's get everybody to trade in, trade up. Let's go after everybody driving an F-150, talking about the F-150 Lite. Let's start to encourage people to go through the simple process to pre-order their vehicle. You have a shortage of pre-owned. I'm going to go after everybody driving a Ford, letting them know it's never going to be worth more than it is right now because of marketing, and doing what we can to help with all those different little facets of profitability that the dealership has versus let's advertise your inventory and price because your price is terrible at that time and your inventory is a little depleted.
And it's just I just want people to look back to that time, right? Like just think back. Anyone that's watching, just look back to when COVID happened, when the chip shortage happened. And that's why everyone now they have like amnesia. They're like, we can't make any money. Hold on, really quick. You guys were making 10x the money you made 2 years ago. I think you'll be okay, right? Yeah. You were making more money. You were selling Corollas at the price of Mercedes. Calm down. You'll be fine, right? Like maybe you shouldn't have blew all your money on other things, right? Like you'll be fine.
Fishing poles and fishing tackle or whatever you did.
Yeah. I blew it like I was living the dream, but we'll be okay. We'll be totally fine, right? But yeah, I think if they look back to that point in time, and they look back to all of the content and all the messaging and all the paid advertising that they did spend during that time, see that messaging. I can guarantee you, it is not the same message that you are doing today. Right? Guarantee you. It's completely different. And people could say, well, John, it was a different time. Yeah, but that time should have taught you some type of lesson. That brand is everything right now, right? And understand that if you want to get back into this game of who can get down to net costs the fastest, right? Which no dealer or business wants. No salespeople, no GM, no manager, no desk person, no finance person. No one wants to give anything away because they're in the business to make money, right? If you don't want to go in that route, in that direction, you better focus on brand awareness, why people should be doing, why. It's like the why buy from us.
Totally.
We got dope people here. That's it, right?
Yeah, I was talking, like we worked closely with like TikTok and Meta's auto teams. It was
Mhm.
something like 2%, maybe 4% of dealers that are advertising or branding in any facet.
Yeah.
It's
Only
all
2%?
this. Yeah, nobody's doing it because it takes a little thought. And if they are, it's going to be their TV commercial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's going to be this weird long aspect, like this weird crop that's 16 by 9 that doesn't take up much space in the news feed. And it's like, that's not brand, man. That's
Yeah, I
forcing
think
the
there
wrong
has
content.
yeah, there has to be a clear definition, I think, of what brand is and what is selling, right? Like even if you're I think brand is the highlighting of your people in your community. That's what brand's about. What's your involvement with your community, the people you are trying to reach out to? Are you trying to reach out to the farmers? I mean, I think we were there, Andrew, and we saw remember that big truck. We were like, holy crap, what is that? I think it was an F-450, right?
Yeah, that pulled up.
Yeah, that pulled up. The guy he literally pulled up, and it was a brand new truck, and the salesperson was trying to sell it to this guy. And I was kind of eavesdropping. I love to eavesdrop when I'm at dealerships because I still miss the game, right? I still miss the car side, right? The selling, the art of selling. And I was listening to the salesperson, and he was talking about a lot of specs. He was talking about a lot of capabilities, which is awesome. But what he didn't do was tie in those features to why it would benefit this guy. Clearly, anyone that's looking at a 450, and I'm just assuming because we're in Texas. Maybe this guy was a farmer. Maybe
He owns several of those trucks.
Yeah, he owns a bunch of them. I'm sure he's probably pulling 2 to 3 horses, right? On a trailer, right? There was no like added value to the features he was talking about and how it would benefit this guy, right? And that's kind of those things when we're talking about brand. When you're creating content, how are you making that content engage with the intended audience you're trying to get, right? If you have a truck, don't shoot that truck at the dealership. No one cares. Take that truck, find your local farmer, say, hey, look, this is Mac Hike Ford. I'm the number 2 Ford dealership in all of Houston, maybe in Texas.
Now, that's Houston, Austin, and San Antonio.
Okay, they're a big dog. Number 2 in the state of Texas, right? I mean, or that huge, right?
Right.
I'm sure Mr. Mac Hike himself or the team probably knows a farming community, right? And they said, hey, we would love to highlight your farm, but we would like to highlight our F-450s at your farm. Can we do that? I have yet to get a no from anyone. And okay. We shot in Kentucky. Anyone that's been to Kentucky, and especially Lexington, there's no Filipinos in Kentucky, Lexington. Like there's zero. There's just none, right? But it's all farm out, bluegrass. You got $1 million horses, tight community. This view, I love Lexington and Kentucky. I love it. I love it out there. I literally took 2 trucks on the beaten path, right? To a person that had horses, ponies, a little farm, nothing big, nothing crazy, but it took it straight to their house. I went to this guy and knocked on his door. Here's the funny story about this. This guy comes out and says, who are you with? I was like, oh, well, I'm with Dan Cummins Auto Group. Oh, what do you want? What do you want? What are you doing here? Oh man, I was driving down this beaten path here. I saw your farm here. I would love to shoot my trucks and your horses. And he was like, and use it for what? I would like to use it for social media. I would like to highlight the dealership and the community, and your community looks like it's the right fit. And the guy right off the bat, he opens the door, he looks at the truck, and he goes, huh, is that the Silverado 2500? I was like, yeah. He said, what dealership? He said, Mac Hike Ford. He's like, look in my driveway. What does it say on there? It said Dan Cummins. He's been a loyal customer for Dan Cummins randomly, right? He said, go for it. And we shot that thing, and that video of the Chevy Silverado and the Ram 1500 crushed it on from an organic standpoint. And then they put ad dollars behind it, and then they even crushed it even more. But the people loved it. They were like, "Holy crap!" Now that to me is brand. That's understanding the culture. I even got to the point where I even said, "Hey, can I highlight you in this video to this customer or this person that owned this land?" He said, "Absolutely, I would love to." And then that guy shared it with his whole farm community, and they started crushing it with trucks even more. And this is during a time when truck sales, if you're in the auto industry, truck sales is really low right now. It's down, right? Trucks are like $100,000 now. I mean, trucks are so expensive. Gas is expensive. Everything's expensive. People can't afford them, that type of thing. So any good movement on selling trucks is good movement, right?
Yeah, and reselling those trucks.
Oh,
it sounds like a formative experience that you had, banging on the door.
Yeah. Well, this guy told me. This guy told me before I was about to leave. He's like, "You know what? You're a stand-up guy. I appreciate you coming and asking me first before doing it, because I literally was going to pull out my shotgun and two buck shots just to scare you." I was like, "Man, I appreciate it." And he was dead serious, but we started laughing about it afterwards. But love that guy. Guy was awesome. I still keep in contact with him till this day. He's an amazing guy.
I was hoping you were going to say he gave you a good deal on a horse.
No. Got to pet his ponies and his horses though, and it was fun. It was a good time.
And do some cool shoots. And you brought a drone out there.
Oh, we droned it. We got to pet the horses, get really close with them. He got the horses moving because they were during feeding time, so they weren't really moving. But he got them moving for us. He went above and beyond. Let's just say that, to really highlight his horses, his prize horses, his ponies, and stuff of that nature, and his area.
Do you have dealers that use any of this content for TV ads?
100%. Yeah,
they do.
100%. And when it comes to that, right? Okay, so now we're getting to a little bit more tactful stuff, right? Where when I go out, I also have to figure out what they're going to be using this stuff. In this case, because we had the partnership for Mike Hike, I understood the assignment. You guys were going to use this for advertising for Facebook marketing, right? So I understood what you guys needed as far as how the video should lay out, what length they should be going. Should it be a 30-second, 15-second, a minute long, just depending on where you're going with it, right? Facebook, you can go a little bit longer to a 45 seconds, maybe to a minute. But if it's like shorts and stuff of that nature, or IG Reels, I would probably keep it to 15 and 30. For TV purposes, I have to know that from the beginning, right? What you're going to use assets for. And the reason being is, if I know you're going to either put it on cable network, right? Or you're going to use it for programmatic, OTT, CTV, that type of stuff, then I understand, and our team understands, that 15-second slots, 30-second slots. Any more than that, good luck, Chuck. Now we're talking about Super Bowl prices, right? Like, keep it 15, keep it 30, know when they're going to use this stuff, right? And we deliberately make it purposeful as far as when we shoot. Now I know that I can't create content where it's super slow, like the super slow-mo. Super slow-mo takes up 7 seconds of my video and I'm done. I'm done with it, right? If I'm trying to jam in usable, valuable content, whether it be brand or for straight marketing, then I got to make sure that those at least 13 seconds or 28 seconds has to be so impactful that when that logo comes at the very end, right, and it says visit us here, that they're going to want to visit you there, or at least engage with going to your website, going through your inventory, going through your pre-owned inventory, seeing if they can trade their vehicle, what the value of their trade is, that type of stuff. So it just depends on I got to make sure that it's good as far as that. But we are able to do it for TV, OTT, CTV, the whole bit. So we can change the sizes. It's not a problem. But
it sounds like the hook system is still the same, where it's done are the days of like being black and then fading into color and then bringing over the logo and slow stuff. But it's like hooking the value of watching the rest of this commercial right now. It's probably skippable. And then giving them the value, then giving them the call to action versus the other way around. and then the brand at the end, where we need to stop their thumb from scrolling, stop them from not watching the YouTube video that they already wanted to watch, but not enough to watch your 5-second pre-roll.
Oh yeah, and it's so. I don't know if I'm sure you've looked at my video. Actually, you see my video. When I post things for a couple of different reasons, right? One, because I like to share my experience of where I'm at, right? So this week, you're literally going to see a bombardment of just my time in Houston, because there was so much footage that I literally was shuffling through it for 2 weeks straight. It was a lot. And I says, okay, I got all this body of work. How am I going to splice this up and really have people engage with it? But nevertheless, I looked at the content in which I had, and what I made sure that I did was, when I post videos, I'm not just posting just to post. Look at the style of which I'm posting it, right? Like, if you looked at my Instagram stuff, and you always see, I always have that first clip that's either 1 to maybe 6 seconds, right? To where I'm giving you what it's going to set the tone for the rest of the video. That's my hook. The last one I just posted this morning was me saying thank you to police officers for not pulling me over. What do you mean, John? What's the rest of this video? Right? Like, those are the hooks. Your videos and things that you put on commercials or you put ads should have that same effect. Because if you don't get them for the first 2 seconds, 3 seconds, right? We talk about the unskippable content, right?
Yeah.
That first couple seconds has to be like, boom, watch this, right? And that's it, right? So that's why we try to keep, we that's why I do certain things when I post. So for future reference, when you guys see me post things, I don't just post just to post. There's a purpose of why I'm doing it. I maybe not directly telling you, hey, this is why I edited this way, right? But I'm telling you now, and being transparent with you, that's why I do it. I give you that first 1 to 6 seconds. Here's what the rest of the video is going to be. It's up to you if you're going to continue to watch it. Usually they'll end up watching it when it comes down to it. Once it gets close to a minute 20 seconds, right, for like reels and stuff, people get a little bit like, maybe then they start tapering off. And then that's, for me, is when I say maybe I should have been more critical of what I should have put in there, right? And I should have minimized it even more so those people would stay there the whole time. So it's just a process for me.
And then, but if you have like a smart paid strategy, you can see that here's this big group of people. Here's the whole DMA that we're advertising with this branding video. Everybody who watched it, at least 75%. Let's assume that they're sort of interested in us. Let's assume that they're interested in buying a car for no other reason than they just watched 75% of our 30-second ad.
Oh yeah,
now
that's strong. 75% strong too.
Yeah, but that's a way to filter out from 6 million people to 18,000 people. Now we're advertising to a hot audience.
Yeah, people that are ready to do something, right? Or like interested. Oh, totally.
Ashley, while you're like, I'm looking at you now. You've done content for dealers since MySpace or whatever was before that. Friendster. You were Friendstering for dealers. What's something that you create? What's like one of your favorite pieces of content that you help create? Can you think of one?
Oh gosh, favorite pieces. So we did a couple of really high-end like car shows where we invited the whole community out, and we had some really expensive, like rare $1 million cars. And just being able to get up close and see the cars and see the looks on everyone's faces. I mean, there were little kids there. They were revving the engines and everybody just lost their minds. I'd say that's probably my favorite.
Memorable. Did you ever have success in getting dealers to get a champion at the store to start making content and stick with it?
Yes. Kind of towards the end when I started leaving, I started training some of the sales staff to go out, create their own brand.
Under their name or just like on behalf of the dealership?
Yes, under their name. Okay. And there are still some that are going. I still pop in there and, comment on their content, but it was hard. I mean, I did that for
I get it.
10, 12 years, and I didn't really get anyone going until the end.
Yeah. And John, what have you been successful ripping people out of what might be more of a comfort zone into hitting their red button?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think my retention rate is pretty darn strong, and I think what ends up happening is after the first go around, every dealership is going to be apprehensive. Don't put me on there. I got warrants on me. You know what I mean? I don't want baby mama to know that I work here. So, there's always a story, right? There's always a reason why they don't want to get in front of a camera, right? But what ends up happening is we find that one person that's willing to do it. That's like, I've never done it, but I'll try. That type of thing. Next thing you know, we capture the salesperson on there, and then the dealership starts putting a lot of backing behind that person's video. Or he puts it on his personal one, or they put it on the dealership's one. Next thing you know, that salesperson ends up selling more cars than anyone else in the dealership in the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Then people will say, wait a minute, why is this guy selling more cars? He's a newbie. How is he selling 15 to 20 consistently? And he just got into the car business, right? And a lot of it ends up being because of he just uses social media a lot now. So the next time I go there, everyone wants to be on the video. Everyone wants to get comfortable with it, right? So it's a process. I think what it comes down to is we're interesting people, right? Where we don't like trying things unless we've seen it work, right? Like, even if like from personal friends or coworkers, right? Like, I can tell all my stories. I can say, hey, look, I had a video that went super viral, 1.8 million on IG, right? And when I tell them, I shot that with my 14 Pro Max iPhone, right? And I edited it through CapCut for that specific video. I just did really quick, right? And then that dealership ended up having 50 Tacomas, and by the time that video finished, right, its term of going super viral, they ended up with 3 by the end of the month. It's no accident, right? But when people see I could tell them that, but if they don't see it on their own, where if a guy, we go and shoot for the first time and then he does super well, then he starts selling consistently, and then he started going on his own, filming himself with his cell phone, using CapCut, and then putting it on social media, then they start to understand that maybe I need to start doing this too, right? And so then when I go back out there, the conversations are even easier for them to buy in. Then it becomes, hey, you the video guy? You the drone guy? Hey, they told us you guys were coming. I put my best suit on today. All right, cool, let's go.
I got a haircut.
Yeah, I shaved today. I'm ready to go, right? And then even management gets even more involved too, because management, I'm talking about the desk people. I'm not talking about the GM. The GM is going to do the GM thing. I'm talking about the desk people, right? The floor managers, right? Those people, they start getting bought in because they saw the direct effect that when this guy started selling more cars, the desk started making more cars. Started to make more money. And when they started to make more money, the GM started to make more money. And when the GM started making more money, then the owner found out why they were making more money. It was because they were using their platforms, which is free for anyone that's looking to get on social media. It's free. It's just utilizing it to its fullest potential, and then getting agencies like a Dealer OMG using these assets, these amazing videos, and putting it in front of the people that are intended to buy something.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like that's totally the trick with, like, whether you're getting data from your DMS, or you've got a CDP, or you're doing data mining, or you're buying third-party audiences, or you're pixeling other dealerships, all the crazy stuff dealers buy into. It's like, cool, you have that now. You got to be able to deploy on it. And there's not a lot of dealerships really equipped to deploy a lot of good creative in a timely fashion to the right people.
Yeah.
Or you pull in that data and mix it with the right creatives and then send those out where people spend their time. And that's where the agency can help, or that's where educating somebody inside, or hiring that freaking powerhouse marketing stud to come in and have him or her be in charge of deploying that stuff.
Oh, totally. And I think a lot of it comes down to, from a dealer's perspective, it's just a lot of the dealerships around the country. I know we were just only talking about the one, but I think from my experience, and probably your experience as well, that we've gone around, and there's some dealerships don't have either one, the resources we're talking about to hire companies like us, or to come out and do these type of things, right? So is there something that I want to try to bring as much value to this conversation as possible to your audience when it comes down to it, right? What can these dealerships do from the resources that they currently have, right? Because a lot of it comes down to they just don't know how to start, right? And so there's a couple of things. One is from a manager perspective, is just buying in that this thing called social media is extremely important, and that in order for this dealership to thrive or get it to the next level, they need to focus on it. It can't be a drop in the bucket. It can't be, let's just dip our toes in a little bit. It's kind of one of those things you got to just jump in, right, in this ice bath and just take it, right, and go with it. I think the steps are, do you need fancy equipment? These are part of the conversations I had when I was talking. Do you need fancy equipment? No. Everyone has a cell phone. Maybe the only thing that they would probably invest in is, one, if they're shooting content on their own, is maybe get a tripod that can hold a cell phone. And then two, which you can get on Amazon for super cheap, is a microphone that will at least give you clear sound when they're talking about certain things, right? The other thing that is free, there is a million free editing things. Sometimes you could just edit it on the social media platform that you're on. It doesn't have to be great, as long as the content of what you are putting out there is good content, right? So those are some tangible things that a dealer could do to just get started. And then from there, just have a scheduled time of when or day when you're going to post. Post Monday through Friday, every single day. If a dealership tells you, or a salesperson tells you they don't have time, they're lying to you. I have been on the line for many, many years. Andrew, we were at the dealership for how many hours? And we saw salespeople just sitting at the desk, and they were already just looking at social media already. They could have spent that hour or 30 minutes they kept swiping up to go out and shoot a video, take a picture of a video, ask the desk, hey, can I take this video? I'm going to take it to the park that's right behind the dealership and shoot this car really quick, and I'll come back. Is that okay? 1 hour, 30 minutes of your day. The post takes maybe a minute or two. It doesn't take long. But so this is where ownership and this is where management has to get involved and get these people to say, no one's sitting at this desk unless you're actively doing follow-up, phone calls, whatever, to drive business in. If you don't have any of that stuff, I need you to go and create content. And what does that content look like? Photos of cars, you doing a quick walk around, talk about one or two features about a vehicle and why you actually like that vehicle and how that can relate to the consumer. That's it, bro. Right? These are not difficult things to do.
What's a simple thing that every dealership has, or a video that has some level of impact that once they hit the red button, first thing, here's something to do?
Film the car in different angles, like especially, every dealership, every brand has a new vehicle or a new redesign that's coming out, especially this year, 2025. There's a lot of redesigns coming out. Specifically, like Nissan has a new Murano, new Pathfinder, new Rogue.
Dodge.
Dodge. Yeah, I mean, every brand, like 2025, look, folks, there is a redesign that your brand is doing right now. Something. If that car comes in, you got to be the first one to just take different angles of the front bumper, the wheels, the exterior, the interior. If it's all new interior with new technology, like the ones that I fairly like. Remember the infotainment system that looked like it was like a miniature iPad? I hate those things. But every OEM that is now doing the curve infotainment system, like on and they're doing on these on the Kias, right? I'm not Kia.
Yeah.
Kia is a great brand, right? But now every manufacturer is using that look, and that is more of an infamous BMW luxury or Mercedes look, where they have that smooth curvature type of infotainment system. But if you start filming that, perfect. But again, what I would do, even if the redesigns didn't come in, here's a first thing that everyone should do. Your salesperson should talk about one or two items about a vehicle that they truly love about that's on the in the inventory, right? In the in inventory, right? So let's just say it's the Raptor. We saw the Raptor, Andrew. Come on, man. Not everyone's shooting that Raptor. That Raptor was sweet. What did you say when the thing came up on the dash? They're like, even after you bought the car, they're still selling you on the car.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, it was like, I looked at Andrew and I was like, you're so freaking right. That's hilarious. I didn't even think about that. Even
reminding you made a great purchase.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, look how sick your car looks in this overview with flames flying around it. All you did is hit the turn on button.
Yeah. And then when you turn off the car, you forgot. Oh, just in case you forgot what you were driving, this is a Raptor Ford Performance. Yeah. Wow.
It's step out of your truck with your head held high.
Good job, Ford. Good job, Ford. Like that's it's so badass. But I think like taking one or two items, right? Feature benefit or a feature that you think is relevant to what your audience typically asks you from a sales perspective, like, hey, I don't really know about the technology. Okay, if you don't know how to pair your stuff, go talk about that. Make that a piece of content. There's a lot of things we could talk about, but that one will always do well. Educating will always do well.
Yeah, dude. And like the drone footage with the dusk and the OEM logo and the dealer's brand on the side of the dealership.
Yeah.
And then being able to repurpose that to say, let's put some text over that right now that says manager special for all remaining 2024 and 2023 inventory is a manager special. Everything must go. Now it's not like we film something specific for it, but within 30 minutes, the advertiser at the dealership or at the agency can take that, spin it, and have a manager special, pull your relevant inventory that's over, call it 160 days on the lot, and get rid of it. Do what we can to help get rid of it.
Yeah. It's just going to sit there and it's going to keep eating your pocketbooks. Get rid of it. But uses these pieces of content to try to drive that message, right? It just has to be a consistent thing. But I think to your point, from an ad agency perspective, and dealers understand this and salespeople understand this, the ad agency is going to do what it needs to do. It's going to get your message to the people that are intended to buy or have some type of interest of your brand. It's your job from a dealer's perspective and a salesperson's perspective to stay consistent with your posts on a daily basis. This ain't something that you do once every 2 weeks or once a month. You can't do it that way. Here's the way that I look at organic posts on social media. This is the best analogy that I think people can understand from a marketing standpoint, and two, from a dealer's perspective, right? There's this thing called SEO, folks, right? SEO, search engine optimization. It is the most boring thing to talk about, right? But it's probably the most important thing to talk about if you're ever looking into digital marketing or digital landscape. If your SEO is strong, your ads and things that your ad agency, when they start sending traffic to that website, is even stronger, right? It's just icing on the cake. Put it from a social media standpoint. Organic content is your SEO of your brand. You have to put in a lot of work to make sure that whatever messaging that you want to get across to your consumer, or let's just say in your case from Dealer OMG and the assets that they're using to drive traffic to your social media or your website, should stay consistent. So let's just say we did that F-150 truck content, Andrew, right? And then that's the message you're going to push all month. What do you think organically from a posting perspective should all your content be for that month? Trucks. That's it. Give me truck content. Shoot the wheels. Post. Did you know the Raptor comes with a 6-inch lift from manufacturer? Dope. That's it. Right? Have your salesperson stand next to a truck, right? Because everyone likes clout, right? So they take him, put him on social media, but he's in front of a truck. Everything truck.
Yeah.
Truck. Now, if it's a general, like the anchor video, then the messaging for that month should be everything about that dealership, its people, its community, taking their cars into the community, taking photos. That's the messaging. There has to be some type of alignment with all of the parties in play when it comes down to it.
But a dealership can start today
Oh,
Not
100%.
this quarter.
No,
They can do it today
no.
and walk outside. And then what kind of habit helps? Just a daily habit of by close of business, we're going to have posted something else tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the expectation now, there's some people that are champions that use social media on a daily basis and they're really good at it. Post as much as you can. At least post every single day, right? Whether it be photo, reels, whatever, right? If you could do twice a day because you're really good at it, go for it, right? If you have the time and energy for it. But from a person that's just starting, post every single day. Like it could be a photo of, a car that you love on the lot, but shoot it in a way that it doesn't look like it's on a car lot, right? Like stop, like divorce that car from inventory. Either put it right in front of your store in the building with that big old sign that says Ford or says Aston Martin or says something that's huge, that's recognizable off of the freeway. Take a photo in a certain angle, right? Like have some sense of like when you're consuming content, what are the contents that you are actually liking and engaging with? It's typically the one that has that cool different angle, right? That it's not just the wheel, but it's the wheel and the emblem of the car, and then it's something, right? Look at those things, and then go from there. But if you can't do a lot of video, do as much photos as possible and just get in the habit of posting on a daily basis, right? I think that's the key, is getting people used to just posting, that it's part of their daily routine. That, okay, once I get to the store, there's a couple of things that I do. I go there, I go to the coffee machine at the dealership, get my coffee, sit down, look at all my emails. Depending on the day, I got to make sure that I dedicate at least 15 to 30 minutes of capturing something, right? That's it. Now, whether you post it that day or at nighttime or the next day, at least you have something that you can post, right? And then call it a day and then let that sit. But I think just being able to, and then that be part of your routine. I think that just has to be a habitual thing, that they know that it's important. Like every day I wake up and I know it's my job, but I love what I do. If I don't post the day, I get really depressed because it's like, dang it, I let my audience down, right? Because there's people that follow my stuff that are like, John, are you okay? Why? You haven't posted in a week, bro. I know. So
I was thumbing through my feed and I've been looking for you.
Like, oh, last week, John, you didn't post. I was like, so I explained to him, like, I was like, I got a quick question for you. What happened last week? NADA, I wasn't there. So me posting anything during when everyone's posting their photo bombs and stuff, my content would get lost. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till everyone comes back, and then I'm going to slam you with stuff that's not NADA stuff, because people are going to get sick and tired of everyone's photo bombs. We're in this together. I get it.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's see. Here's some tangible things now. So sometimes I do it because of sheer, like, it's a strategy. I'm not going to post and go against the grain. I already know what the dominant thing's going to happen in LinkedIn. It's all going to be all about NADA. So why even post anything? It's just a waste of dope content, right? I'll wait till it dies out and then I'll come in. Two, it's either maybe there's a ton of clients or partners that we just filmed that I'm shuffling through 2 weeks worth of stuff to fill, like, of edit. That could be one. Or three, I'm on vacation and I'm on the slopes and I'm killing it and I don't want to post anything about I just want to enjoy my time away from it. Sometimes I got to decompress from it. My wife tells me all the time, babe, you're always on the phone. Just one for 2 days. Just don't post anything. Oh, all right. But babe, this is how we make money. I don't care. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Okay. You're right.
And I feel like this counts as our posting something for today, because we just talked for an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a quarter, 1.25.
Yeah.
Dude, if dealers are still listening, I hope they are, because I think this has been fruitful. I feel like this has been quite constructive, and I feel like dealers can take stuff away from this and hit that red button. Do you sell red buttons?
I said I should sell red buttons.
Yes, dude. Get the social person, and they know it's their job because they have that red button on their desk.
That's dope.
Did they hit that red button every day once?
And then it's gonna say selling cars like candy bars with a red button. Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
Actually. Oh, that's my next slit. Hey, you're gonna get royalties for that one, Andrew. I got you.
I'm gonna quit my job. I'll come work for you.
I'm gonna slang them.
Hey, how do people what's the best place to follow you?
Depending on the platform, right? So LinkedIn, obviously, it's John Resurreccion on LinkedIn. On Instagram,
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah, on Instagram, it's selling cars like candy bars. That was always my thing. I said in social media, that was always my pitch phrase when I was selling cars. I actually tell customers, "Hey, man, I'm selling cars like candy bars." And that's what people gravitated towards. So selling cars like candy bars. On Instagram, Facebook, obviously, it's there. TikTok, same thing. Everything's selling cars like candy bars, except on LinkedIn. I'm a little bit more professional on LinkedIn. So it's just my name.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm honored to be sitting down with these distinguished guests.
I would like to thank the audience.
Yes. John, dude, it's been real. Let's keep in touch. Let's do more cool stuff in the coming days and weeks.
Super down. I'm super down. Just give me a call. Let me know whatever is on your mind. And I loved your energy and your time. Really quick, people. If you made it this far, Andrew is dope in person. If you're just following him on podcasts, or the guy is dope in person. And I had a really great time. At first, I was kind of like, oh man, Andrew's gonna slow me down. But Andrew was a freaking trooper. He bared the cold with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we had great, useful conversations.
We had security guards chasing us off of parking garages where we're doing shoots.
It was awesome.
And it was fun.
He got to see the real deal. He got to experience the run and gun mentality from content creators.
That was like true outlaw marketing, and that's why I started this.
Yeah,
it's because I love the marketing. I love the creative. I love making stuff stand out. Then as your company grows, it's easy to be like the business person and then start to lose sight of it.
Yeah.
And then it's so refreshing to go back out and be like, cool, let's make this stand out. Let's make stuff that our team can use. Let's make stuff that makes sense for this dealership, that is like filling in those puzzle pieces that they need filled.
Yeah.
And that's like doubling down on the strengths of their market. And they're in energy corridor with all these oil and gas executive. Like, let's figure out how to tap into that energy versus whatever. You know, I love that side of it. I love the creative. I love the marketing. And it was a big treat to be able to like come cramp your style for a day and a half.
No, it was awesome. I was a little worried, but like I have a lot of respect for you. Let's just say
it's super fun, man.
A lot of respect. So we've only seen each other through shows. You know what I mean? Like when we go to NADA or Digital Deal, that's the time and even those conversations are so quick, right?
Right. It was cool. I heard you're good at what you do. Let's take a quick selfie.
That's exactly. Let's and then send it to our social media team to post it. Yeah, we were here with. I was here with Mr. Street. Like, you know what I mean?
Look him up. I forgot. He had a unique last name. We're gonna tag him. I got a picture of his badge. I thought I got a picture of his badge.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Thank you. And Ashley, you're always a rock star. I love that you're always engaged in social media as well, and I'm glad that you get it. I'm super happy you get it. I think we just got to keep pushing the message that this is important. It's not.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able. Yeah, you can't if you're a dealer and you're not doing social media, just get ready for a buy sell. I'm sorry.
Or if you're going to get to a buy sell, start doing it real quick and grow your footprint and your followers and all this stuff. And I like to think that that's a sellable asset too. It's like, not only are you getting this dealership in this market and all this, but we have this CRM that's beefed up, and we have our DMS that has all these contacts that are segmented or whatever. But we also have this loyal group of followers and this ongoing stream of content that comes with the purchase of this business. Already has this ecosystem built into it. And I like to think that's a value add for a buyer.
Yeah. So just hit the red button, keep selling cars like candy bars. I'll just leave it at that.
Red buttons for sale in February.
I gotta contact my connect at Temu or something. Let me figure that out.
Let's do it.
All right, thanks,
brother.
Folks. Have a good one. Take care. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right, bye-bye.